And then Johnny, through his lawyer, not only uses that against me, but says it's a hoax.
All right, joining me now is still trial attorney Rachel Fiset and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Josh Ritter. All right, guys, I'm going to make a statement and I want to get you guys' reaction to it. I truly believe that perhaps the strongest part of the case for Amber Heard in terms of defending against Johnny Depp's defamation suit is, of course, you have the truth, but I think the truth can be tricky in this case, as we saw in cross-examination. But this aspect of the case that they're talking about now, this article, the claim that it really wasn't written about Johnny Depp, no matter what he thinks, and how the article itself was about a public issue and therefore protected by the First Amendment. I want to get your thoughts on that, in my estimation, being perhaps the strongest place for them to defend against this lawsuit. Josh, I'll begin with you.
I would have agreed with you if putting aside what she testified to here today. It's almost like they threw that defense out the window. I think it became abundantly clear through her direct examination, by the way, not on cross, but through her direct examination that, you know, she's trying to tap dance around it, but she's basically saying, yes, this is about Johnny because I've suffered from abuse because of him, and therefore that's why I had to write this op-ed. I would have agreed with you that they should have said, listen, he read into this, his name's nowhere in there, but I think they almost gave up on that defense at this point, and they're now going with, yes, it is about him, but that's because it is true because I suffered at his hands in domestic violence, and we'll see how that plays out through the rest of her cross.
Interesting. I wonder if that was just a misstep, because it doesn't seem to add up. Rachel, your thoughts?
I agree with you, Michael, but I think the jury is going to have a really hard time parsing that argument out. This is a defamation case. You know, that's where we are, and it's about the First Amendment and what was being said, but it hasn't sounded like that for most of this case. It sounds like a criminal case where she's accusing him of abuse, and he's saying, I didn't commit a crime. And so the jury, it's going to be hard for the jury not to live there and to go forward into the elements of defamation and what she really meant in this article and what it was meant to do and what is the truth. So I agree, but I don't know if the jury can do the mental gymnastics to get there.
Yeah, I get your point, and I think you might be right there. But I want to read a release by a spokesperson from Heard's team. And it basically read, as they prepared for the cross-examination, she says, there's an old saying by trial lawyers, when the facts are on your side, argue the facts. When the facts are not on your side, pound away at the podium. Today, we expect Depp's attorneys will instead pound away on the victim. We fear it will be equal parts shameful and desperate. They go on to say, and the overwhelming evidence, the truth, is not on Depp's side. The one thing we suspect Depp's attorneys will avoid is the central issue of the trial. Does Amber or any woman have the First Amendment right of freedom of speech? So that's why I went there, Josh, because they even released a statement that suggests they believe that first and foremost, especially in a time now where women's rights are being rolled back, it's out there in the public sphere, right? That's something the jury can know about, that this is about the First Amendment right of a woman to speak about dealing with men in power.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think they released that statement in the hopes of you know, trying to bolster that argument. But I agree with your guest. These are mental gymnastics that are hard to twist yourself through, and it's going to be hard for the jury. I think at this point that she's so made it obvious that she's going all in on the idea that she was suffered tremendous abuse. By the way, I mean, the way that she describes some of this stuff is horrific. You know, being punched in the face to the point that she's lost count. That is not a mild type of domestic violence that we're talking about. This is severe stuff. And they've gone so all in on that that I don't see how they cannot say that that article is about Johnny. At this point, I think they ditched that argument, and I think they need to go towards, this is all true, and here's the evidence to show why it was true.
All right, fair enough. Rachel, one last question for you. Do you make anything of the fact that the Washington Post wasn't sued in this case?
I think that he wants his justice from her. And Yes, because normally you would sue the publisher for defamation, but the Washington Post is going to say, we didn't know, we think this was true, and so then they're going to point to her again. But this has turned into a wild and crazy road down insane accusations that don't even need to be true. She needs to be about 1% truthful on what she's saying. And we are so far down the road that now she has this huge hurdle to prove through cross. This is gone. I think the way Depp's lawyers want it to go, but it is deep into Johnny Depp and abuse.
Yeah, I have to agree. And, just the whole point they made at the beginning of the cross, the idea that, he had told you he's never going to allow you to look him in the eye again. The whole thing just seems so absurd, so childish. I don't know. It's just crazy. All right, guys, stand by. We're going to take a break. We will continue in our Depp v. Heard coverage in just a moment. But first, we do have new details about what investigators are calling a racially motivated mass shooting at a supermarket in New York. You want to hear that terrible story coming up next. Keep it right here on Quick TV.